It's lights out and away we go!
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the GTUK F1 podcast. And I am joined by David.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
So, the
Imola. Or Emilia
Romagna.
Imola.
The last Imola, I believe.
Potentially the last.
Unless they decide to give it an extension.
Well, I'll tell you what, I generally hope they do, because it's a circuit that I do have a lot of fondness for.
It's old school.
That's it, innit? We saw through the weekend, and we'll get into it in time, but you get it wrong, there was gravel traps and barriers.
Yep.
There wasn't these 88 miles of tarmac to run off on before they hit anything.
Yeah. And, obviously the news was that Jack Doohan is now reserve and Franco Colapinto has now stepped up. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, the rumours are he's only been given 5 races. I can now see your point, what you made about Red Bull, if I'm honest.
What do you mean?
Well, do you remember when a certain driver at Red Bull got swapped and they were only given about 5 races?
Like I say, it seems to be it was...
i.e. Lawson
maybe,
was only going to be given 5 at the start of the season.
Maybe it's just me, and feel free anybody listening to correct me on this. But it certainly never used to be a thing that drivers would only get... You used to think of driver swapping mid-season.
Mid-season.
Unless we had an injury or for some other outside reason. It seems to have been very much the last few years where all of a sudden you just swap and choose drivers seemingly just because, you don't like the way they're performing. Which I get it, it's their team, they can do what they want. I do understand that. I apologise, that was my fault. But put my phone on silent. Professional.
Yeah, but the problem is it's I blame Helmut Marko. I really do.
I just think Red Bull seem to do it, and that seems to have made everybody else realise it's a thing. Whereas I don't think it should be. Now, like I say, Colapinto, he didn't exactly cover himself in glory in his half a season at Williams.
Exactly.
In fact, if anything, he just made us realise how good Albon actually was. I think we're going to say the usual thing here. I didn't see any of practice. I caught a couple of highlight reels. I watched the highlights on YouTube, but I didn't actually catch the races.
Didn't? No.
The practice sessions, sorry, give them the proper name.
Unfortunately, I didn't catch the practice sessions. But
if we can then sort of roll into qualifying, because what I will say is, Colapinto was told by our favourite man, Flavio Briatore, that he had to go fast, not crash the car, and score points. And I think he achieved none out of the 3.
No, he didn't. But,
we'll do it in order. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
But yeah, going to Q1. So
if we do it in order, this just started off as normal until Yuki's spectacular crash.
Fucking shit. I winced.
I think anybody who's an F1 fan, you don't like to see that. Not everybody. It was like, to see him get out the car and just stand up and look annoyed at it was the absolute best thing that could happen. In a lot of ways, it was probably actually better for him that the car did what it did, because it kind of, he lost it into, I believe, class as turn 3, hit the barrier, actually spun up on top of the barrier,
but landed back down. Didn't do a
rolled over at least twice.
Yeah. Didn't do a Guan Yu Zhou.
No, brought out a red flag. Well, luckily he got out of the car. He was taken to the medical centre, checked out to be fine.
Yeah, but okay, Yuki's not. Yuki hasn't been great in the Red Bull. As much,
He-
as much as that hurts me to say that, to be honest, because I like Yuki.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's like
He's getting
we all we've
used to
all
the
joked
car.
that second Red Bull seat is cursed anyway.
Hmm. He's
But
getting used to the car, and problem, like we said at the beginning, it's an old school track. It bites,
yeah,
and it bit because
oh yeah,
he dipped a wheel.
just lost. Well, he lost the back end going into the corner, didn't he? And then, but the thing, unlike a lot of your other circuits, you don't have this massive amount of runoff area.
If there was runoff area there, he'd have probably managed to get away with it. It'd have ruined his lap.
Yeah, it'd have ruined that lap, but he'd probably been able to final. But to be honest, that to me is racing. If you get it wrong, you should be punished, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, punished and there's.
Yes, that was extreme, but I mean, I don't like these circuits with half a mile of tarmac runoff.
Take it up.
Because the thing is, did you
take it up with
notice
fucking
something?
Tilke.
Yeah, did you notice something? We didn't get a lot of track limit violations this weekend, did we?
No, couple. To note.
Not so many, because when coming off the track just leads you to a barrier and a.
Oh yeah.
It's funny how they can all stay on the track when it's not beneficial to go off it.
And obviously, we lost like the other drivers as well. We lost the other 4 drivers, but
well, there's an order to go in that because obviously the session resumed, and then right at the end, we had one of we'll go into my highlight reel for the season, which is watching the 2 Aston Martins one by one knock the. I said Q2 won it. I'm going ahead of myself
Q2.
here.
Yeah, nope.
Okay, Q1 then obviously finished with Colapinto then
Binning
the car.
Now,
In a, I wouldn't say a worse fashion because he literally went nose into the barrier.
but he made a rookie mistake.
Didn't let go of the steering wheel.
Didn't let go of the frigging steering wheel.
Oh, that can break. Is that not how Danny Rick ended up injured?
Yeah, that's how Danny Rick ended up screwing himself because otherwise, the reason why Danny Rick did it, because otherwise he would have gone into Piastri.
But
he didn't let go. You saw it.
Yeah. You're told it in all forms of motorsport, not just F1. Once you're into a crash like that, accept you've crashed, let go of the wheel, because if the wheel gets flicked round in your hands quickly, it can hurt badly.
Yeah. But he didn't. He didn't let go of the steering wheel. You saw him do it.
Oh, I know.
And it's like, yeah, well, what Briatore told you. Well done.
Yeah.
And I will say this. He should not be even in charge in the interim.
Well, we know that.
Now, just noting here. So, obviously, Yuki failed to set a time in Q1.
Yeah, because he'd been the car
and
before we got.
He raced at the steward's discretion. So, that's fine.
Yes.
Carlo Pinto was handed a 1-place grid drop for failing to follow the race director's instructions.
Yes, you know what that's about, don't you?
Was that...
He went to the end of the pit lane at the wrong time.
I was going to say, that was the release, wasn't it?
Because technically he made Q2. He was inside the top 16 at the point of the crash. Obviously couldn't take part in Q2 because...
He'd crashed the car.
Because the car was in the wall, yeah. But he made the Q2 session. But then, yeah, he was given the penalty for what they reckon was a breakdown in communication between him and the mechanic whose job it is to let him out.
Mm,
Because what they were going to do is roll the car out into the
like they
the pit
did.
box.
Like they
Yeah.
did with the rest. They rolled them out, made them hang
Well,
there,
as I think it was Anthony Davidson said, it was a fair point.
slam dunk.
That's not something they do very often.
No.
So that's not something that they might have had like an easy hand signal to know.
Hmm.
You know, because a lot of F1 is done on, they know, the drivers know procedures, know protocols.
Yeah.
And Colin Pinto, this is his first race for a new team. Let's not forget he was with Williams last year.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So Williams might do things slightly differently.
Yeah.
So as a result, and it was a mistake, and I think the team sort of said it was on them, but you punish the driver and the team as one, that's the thing.
Yeah. But then then we
Then we
get
get to Q2.
on to then we get on to Q2.
Oh, should we do that? No. Let's we're missing something here. God, we're professional on this.
Oh.
Because it was the end of Q1 was Behrman's situation,
sorry.
wasn't it?
Yes. We
Wait,
get on,
Oliver Behrman.
we'll get on to Q2, but after a slight delay, shall we?
Yeah, because after Colapinto binned it through the red flags, Colapinto, it was nip and tuck of his time finishing his lap versus the red flag.
But
Now, I actually agree with the consensus. He was generally, I think the red flag had been thrown before he finished the lap.
now I kind of disagree.
Oh, controversy.
Because looking at the video, looking back at it, the red lights were on the the gantry, yeah, on the start finish gantry.
Yeah.
The other red flag, main red flag panel on the gantry hadn't appeared at the point. The panels
Was
down,
that the problem you've got?
and the panels down the side, just as he was, this is the thing, just as he was getting, I think, I can't, fourth grid box or whatever, then the gantry light came on, and the boards, the panels at the left side of the track came on. So they were slow in doing that. They seem to be very slow in.
The problem you've got there is, and I understand how it sort of works, is once a red flag is thrown anywhere on the circuit, that covers the whole circuit basically. Whether he'd finished the lap or not, the second that red flag dropped, that red flag covers the whole track.
Oh, we know that, but
so anybody on a lap, it's instantly voided. Which I admit, because like I say, from what I saw, Behrman's time, I'm pretty sure I saw his name jump to 10th.
Behrman would have been.
His name jumped up, so it would have got him through comfortably. Whereas as it was, he'd have been the last of the gridded cars.
Yeah.
Because obviously, Yuki started from the pit lane because they basically rebuilt the entire sodding car.
Yeah. Now, it was and it was to do with Bortoletto as well.
Well, the problem was we can kind of roll this into Q2 because then what happened? Haas were convinced the time should count, so they told Behrman, "Stay in the car, don't go to the pen. Just stay in the car. We'll get started. And you'll be out on track." Now the problem was, if his lap time would have counted, that would have knocked Bortoletto out. So I think it was a display of force by
Sauber
almost,
for sending him out.
To actually send Bortoletto out onto the circuit, into the pit lane as soon as they could.
Yeah, but that
like I say, looking at the videos, looking at the times, I actually think it was the right decision.
It would have put a spanner in the works if Bortoletto would have been knocked out, though.
I'm not sure how the FIA would have. I would like to have seen how the FIA would have managed that, but I'm not sure how they would have done.
Yeah, but if Ollie had knocked him out, and Sauber had sent him down the pit lane, Well,
I mean, to be really honest with you, I didn't know why there was a nice easy solution there because they knew Yuki wasn't going back to the track, so why did Colapinto wasn't? Let them both go out.
hmm.
You know what I mean? I know
Yeah.
I know there'll be rules and regulations in place. I'm not disagreeing with that, but we knew Colapinto wasn't going to be taken to the grid,
No.
so
So,
you could, in theory, have put both cars on
Ben,
the track, but there'd be room for them both.
yeah, Behrman could have gone through. But, it's the way it is.
So that then rolled us into Q2, which then went on. Actually, we didn't get many more big dramas, which was quite nice because I had places to be, and Q1 tracking on a bit was pushing that time back. But there, and it will go down in my highlight reel of the season, was the end of Q2.
What, the
I
fact...
say, watching the two Aston Martins knock the two Ferraris out in Italy.
Yeah,
There was just something poetic.
And the other homeboy, Kimi Antonelli, just...
Oh, Kimi Antonelli, which can we just say, congratulations to Kimi Antonelli for one thing. He got 30 Italians to not wear Ferrari gear. I mean, that in itself should be seen as an achievement.
Yeah, now, I disagree with Villeneuve. Villeneuve's stirring the fucking shit again, isn't he?
You got a bad thing to say about 1997 world champion Jacques Villeneuve?
Yeah. Get screwed. If Kimi wanted to show, if Kimi wanted his friends there, yes, okay, I get it. He wanted his classmates there for a bit of support. Now, what's wrong with that? It's
No, actually, he was great.
And this is the thing, right? So, right, and Villeneuve would never listen to this. What happens if your wife turned up at the circuit with you? Yeah? Are your comments going to stand a little bit firm there?
This is Italian, is she?
No, but if you get what his thing was, you don't bring people to your office. Yeah? Now, my comment will stand. If Villeneuve heard it, I wouldn't care. Hit me up, come on. But if it was your wife at the track with you, she's in your office. Many of the other drivers bring their girlfriends or partners or whatever, to their office. So why is Kimi not allowed to bring his classmates to his office? I never heard his comments.
That's why I didn't know anything about it.
No, I did. I did right at the end of qualifying. So yeah, what's the difference in the other drivers bringing their partners, girlfriends, whatever, to the circuit, wives, whatever, but Kimi's not allowed to bring his classmates?
Like I say, you'd have to stay everything I don't. I'm on your side of this one.
Kimi has a girlfriend who probably will have been there. But I just didn't understand Villeneuve's comments.
Yeah, it does seem a bit weird, does that one?
Yes, he's young, but why is he not allowed having his friends showing support? What I mean?
It really was his home race, wasn't it? He was born literally like 30 or 40 miles from the circuit.
Yeah.
We're not just talking a little bit, we're talking literally his backyard.
Well, it's like when we've got Monaco coming up. Leclerc was born there. So it could be the same said for Leclerc as well. Having his friends, his family there at his office. It's like, I just didn't quite understand Villeneuve's comments of being quite critical about him when it comes to wanting to, to show his classmates and have a little bit of support. I just didn't, and he was like, oh, well, it might be off-putting for him and everything, but it's like, at the end of the day, they're F1 drivers. They could probably, compartmentalize all that.
Yeah.
Like they do if there's bad accidents and stuff like that. And it's like, what was wrong with it? Yeah, that's what I mean. He's stirring the pot again a little bit. He's taken over from fucking Damon Hill. Jesus Christ. And I like Jacques Villeneuve, but that was just a bit like, well, why can't he? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it? What have you got against that? Sort of thing. And I get it. It's probably to get people talking. Like it has. But I don't quite... I just don't get it, because sometimes Villeneuve's the same. He can be very critical of Max at times. Very critical of the other drivers and, Max, Lando, Oscar and all this lot. I know he says what he thinks, but it just... Yeah, it just didn't... The whole tone, the way he said it and the way he put it across, it didn't seem right. And it didn't seem, very good. Even from a pundit. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. Villeneuve and Chadwick are part of the Williams family. Believe it or not. They work with Williams.
Yeah. Speaking of Chadwick, you did she see? And I watched about the first hour of the Wood Race. She didn't actually say a huge amount, did she? Or was it just me?
Nah, not really.
She stood there with the microphone and sort of smiled, but didn't actually say a great deal.
No. But yeah, it didn't sit right with me. And then obviously there's rumours of Hadjar replacing Yuki at Red Bull, and it's like I'm sorry, I like Hadjar, but he's not ready. He's nowhere near ready to step up.
No. He's doing well, he's not. Let's give him a lot of credit.
Yeah, he's doing well, but he's not ready for that seat.
Well, no, I fully agree with you there.
No.
Give him the rest of this season in the Red Bull. In the Racing Bull, I'm sorry.
In the Racing Bull, give him...
The rest of this season at the very little.
Give him the rest of this season and give him next season.
See how it's... For the end of this season, maybe. See how he does. Throw that to him as a carrot. If he does really well this season, the shot might be there at the end.
But the problem is, if you said that, then that's the thing. If you said that to him, it would possibly, yes, it'd spur him on, but would mistakes start to get made?
Yeah, but the trouble is, if that's the case, then he's maybe not the right.
Yeah.
I'm not, maybe that's just me. To me, because you've got to give him some hope. You can't just tell him, you've no chance, because then he'll end up going to another team.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I'd give him, if it was me, I would give him rest of this season. I would give him next season to see how he does, and then I would probably consider it.
Well, like I said, I'd say to him, look, there's a chance. Do really well this season. There's a chance. Don't promise it. Don't make him say I'll have him, but say it's a possibility. Now,
this is how David thinks of his team strategy. If David was, team principal at team principal at Red Bull, I reckon this is how he'd do it. But I differ to him.
Yeah, fair, which is fair enough. We do.
Yeah.
I believe in the old carrot and stick approach. Give him something to aim for. There could be a chance.
There was a joke there, but I'm keeping that one off the. I'm keeping that off the air. Keep that one off the air.
You see what I have to deal with, folks.
But
and then if it was Q3, I don't think a great deal of sort of interest really happened. Maybe I'm
what really? The fact that the Williams were up there, the Williams were looking fucking strong.
I suppose both Aston Martins, considering how they were a couple of races ago.
But Alonso was the only one with the upgrade. Stroll didn't have it. It was only Alonso that had the upgrade. Now, yet again, 2 McLarens,
Yeah.
Max,
Mm-hmm.
and Russell.
I
Now,
keep saying about Russell, don't I?
oh yeah, I know. This is what I mean. I know you do. And yet again from Lando. Yes, Lando's probably got it in the race, but as he's admitted
Has he
himself, as Lando says, he's better on race pace than he is in quali. He seems to be struggling with quali at the moment. I don't know if it's the fact that Oscar's just. I think Oscar's I think Oscar's in his head.
Oh, yeah. I think he was set up for this season thinking his fight's going to be with Max.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, his rear gunners started fighting against him.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, at the moment, in a straight fight, you've got to give it to Oscar.
Oscar's doing well.
Oh, tell you what, moving away from Alpine, as much as we don't like the way he did, it's got to be the best thing he ever bloody did, hasn't it?
Yeah. See, that's the thing, though. Now, as much as I said about what I said about Oscar over.
Oh, I still stand by the way he did it wasn't right. I still stand by
it
that.
Wasn't, but I don't think. Ideally, I actually don't think it was. Thinking about back to it, I don't think it was down to Oscar. To be honest.
Well, it was Alpine started by announcing him as a driver, wasn't it? Before contracts had been signed and all that.
Yeah, but I honestly don't think the way Oscar handled that. I think there was a bit of Webber in there,
Possibly.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of Webber. Now, obviously, from hearing back on FFS how Webber was, I can kind of see it now. Why it was handled the way it was. But
yeah,
to be honest, he's probably been one of the best moves Oscar could have done.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't have been fighting for a championship in an Alpine, would he?
No. And Oscar's growing on me, actually. I do like Oscar.
Oh, his personality's great, and you can't imagine him ever getting annoyed at anything.
Sometimes you see a little bit of frustration, but then other times he's just like in the car, and it's just like, wow.
He just seems to be he's one of the people who you couldn't get annoyed.
He just seems so calm and relaxed, and it's like, what the hell? You're driving an F1 car at God knows how many miles an hour round a sodding track, and you're like that. Whereas, you've got the likes of Max, Alonso,
Hamilton,
Leclerc.
Oh, Leclerc was getting mad. Leclerc's entering his villain arc, I'm sure of it.
You've got people like that who can get really pissed off. And Oscar's just there like, yeah, whatever. Sort of thing, you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, I mean, we might see a change towards the end of the season if he's still.
If it comes down to a fight, possibly.
Yeah. So, let's get on to the start, shall we?
We're going to see the sprint there for a second.
No.
It sounded like that's where you were trying to go with that.
So, obviously, Carlo Pinto got hoinked down to 16th. He was 15th and he got down to 16th.
And Yuki started from the pit lane.
Yeah.
Because basically he had a brand new car.
Yeah. Now, I will say, the fact that the Williams was in 6th and 7th, it was just like, right. Is there going to be a bit of a fight on? Now, I can't remember who went on what tyres.
Most of them were on the mediums, weren't they? Because medium start, go on to the hards was the general sort of considered plan.
Hmm. And so, it was getting interesting because the fact that, done the formation lap, got back to the grid. Oscar slightly pointing his car
Slightly.
to cover Max off.
Slightly.
Yeah. And we get going. So,
And I will say,
all I can say is, and you're probably going to you're going to echo this, but what a fucking move from Max Tom.
that's going to be one of the moves of the season, isn't it? He got my driver of the day vote purely for that first corner.
Oh.
Now, I will say, I think Oscar didn't fight it too hard.
Really?
Yeah, Oscar back. I mean, Oscar.
He had to fucking back out.
Yeah, well, no, he did. Well, he didn't. But they both ended up in a
They nearly touched.
I think Oscar. I don't think Oscar made it as difficult as he could have done.
Oh no, he probably didn't. But it was.
But at the same time, Oscar seemed, because I actually thought off the start, I thought Russell had Max.
He did. Russell had a fucking good start.
But then found himself in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah. They just. Everybody just seemed to box up and bunch up.
Yeah, I thought Russell had Max, and then Max just absolutely
Late braked. Bye.
round the outside, and basically just put himself in, then never really looked back. Let's be honest.
Yeah. But that's the thing. He was gonna go if he hadn't made that move. I don't think Max would have won it.
Oh no, definitely not. But there was 2 or 3 up and down. There was a few going for it.
Yeah.
I say we all kind of expected the Williams to be a little bit of a roadblock, which actually weren't as bad as I thought they might have been.
No, that was Hadjar.
I think with the 2 Williams might become a bit of a cork in the bottle, if you get what I mean.
Yep. Because, I mean, that wasn't a fast circuit either. Williams is usually good at high end.
Yeah.
Now, if Williams keep going, I mean, what are they?
Actually, funny, me and my dad were talking about it, and I still stand by. If they can keep this up with Vowles at the helm, I see them doing a McLaren.
Oh, yeah.
Because as I said before, 2-3 years ago, the McLaren was a joke.
No shit.
And look at it now.
Yep.
I could see Williams doing that if they could, because we know the Merc engine's good. Where everything says to us the Merc engine for next year is going to be good, because Merc don't generally do these things badly. I know there's a chance, don't get me wrong, but I'd put my money on them before a lot of other people to get this new engine right.
Yeah.
And so, like I say, and the other thing about Williams is that driver lineup. If they do get a good car, I think we'll capitalise on it hard.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Sainz is there to... Sainz was
He's settling in now. He's starting to settle in more than he did start season. Albon is just proven to be Mr. Consistent.
Oh, yeah. But there was some good... Imola, I was expecting Imola to be quite a little bit of a boring race, if I'm honest.
I thought it had potential, because I know the type of circuit it is.
But, considering there was quite a lot of battles going on. And, okay, Sainz got a little bit done to a point, but Albon, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Top 5.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah.
I thought he was on for a podium, you know.
He probably could have been.
I had visions of it happening. I mean, if he could have got, because we could have skipped on it because we had a VSC when was it Ocon's car? Ocon's car died, which was a VSC.
Yep.
Then, and I was absolutely gutted for him, but Antonelli's car died in the same place.
Yeah.
Which actually triggered a full course safety car. Which the second that came out, I was jumping up and down. I was like, bring it on, bring the field together, and we're going to have some fun.
Mm.
You know, I literally, the second that full course, I was like, this is going to be entertainment.
Well, that's what I mean. As soon as the VSC, I was like, okay, VSC. And then it was safety car. It was like, ooh,
This could be it.
This is going to be spicy.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it didn't.
Well,
I
think Oscar not pitting was a bad move. We're almost back into an Abu Dhabi 21 situation here.
Yeah.
Without causing too many people to throw things at me.
Well, it wasn't. Yeah, but it wasn't just that. It was just like, was it me or was there a little bit of issues with pit stops?
Oh yeah, the McLarens weren't having a good weekend, were they?
No, not with pit stops.
The McLarens in particular weren't having a good weekend.
But it wasn't. It seemed to be more Oscar's side.
I don't know. You look at
than Lando's.
Lando's pit stops weren't brilliant.
Well, not. Yeah, but well, who had the trouble? Who was having the tyre trouble?
They both had. They literally both.
Oh, did they? But yeah, I mean, Alonso nearly losing his shit. Leclerc losing his shit.
To me, Leclerc's going down his villain arc at the moment. Because he was just getting more and more wound up at the team. Which is normally we'd expect that more from Hamilton, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, what did he say? Something like it was he said something fucking joke, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was really. There was 2 or 3 messages where it's like, why are we doing it? Sort of really at the team. It's like, these are the wrong decisions.
Yeah. It was just like, oh God, here we go. And then I feel sorry for Albon.
I wasn't feel sorry for him. It was still a great result.
Yeah, but he got across the bloody grass. The gravel.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that would have wrecked the floor. But he still managed to get it where he did.
Oh yeah, 100%. He did a cracking job.
Because Leclerc struggled. Didn't Hamilton pit and then Leclerc didn't? Or did Leclerc pit? Because Leclerc seemed to struggle towards the end.
That was the McLaren who said Piastri didn't. Which I generally think was a mistake. I generally think they had the gap to stack them.
Yeah.
And they should have gone for it, because leaving him out there on old tyres was basically just confirming that he wasn't going to be able to compete with Max.
And then they had a nice fight.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Max, he got kind of lucky. Both the VSC and the actual safety car both fell absolutely perfectly for when he needed them.
Yep.
Pretty much. Which is how it goes sometimes.
Then he had Hamilton complaining because the safety car hadn't gone in.
But actually, I think it was Andy Davis who was talking about why that might have been. He said the safety car sometimes goes slower because they had to let Behrman unlap himself.
Oh yeah,
you've got to let him get a certain distance away before you can let him go. So he said sometimes the safety car will deliberately slow down a little bit to give that car the gap.
Mm.
But they're obviously, the thing is, and once again, this goes back to what we were saying a minute ago.
Because
it's an old school circuit.
Yeah, because Behrman was out of position.
Yeah. but it's an old school circuit, which means there's not always the same ability to get cars out of the way.
Mm.
You know, there's not cranes on every 10 feet or a service road every very close. Sometimes, because I think it's only shot the Manitou having to reverse back up the circuit.
With the Mercedes attached.
No, he hadn't. They'd put the Mercedes, taken the Mercedes off it and put the Mercedes into an escape road.
Oh right, it was just the thing
But obviously, the escape road that put the Merc in wasn't big enough
for that.
to get the telehandler in as well.
Yeah.
So then had to take that up the side of the circuit to the next available spot.
Hmm.
Which is just the way it goes sometimes.
Oh yeah, unlike when they got Monaco and it'll be cranes on certain corners and on most of the corners. But
Well, that's because Monaco doesn't have anywhere to put them. They know that. That's just...
well, yeah. I mean, you know, it was a good result for Sainz as well. Good result for Hadjar.
Yuki got into the point, which from the start of the weekend, you got to give him some credit for.
It was a good recovery drive from Yuki, to be honest. To get a point. Okay, it's only a point, but from last to 10th, it's still a point.
Oh yeah, 100%. That was a fantastic result.
Yeah.
And hopefully will help to rebuild his confidence a little bit that, yeah, it didn't go the way they planned at the beginning, but hopefully shows that he has the pace and that if he can keep it right, there's a lot of potential in him in the car.
Oh yeah. Because I mean there was no way Lando was going to catch Max. Not a chance.
No.
Unless Max binned it. No, not binned it, but unless Max made a mistake. Nah, there was no chance. I mean, he finished, 6.1 seconds behind him?
Yeah, and that was after the late safety car. Max managed to build that back out.
Yeah. Don't know what they did. Don't know what they did to Red Bull, but it turned around.
That's just Max doing his old, reminding us all who he is.
Why he's got his championships.
Yeah. Well, and why there's very few people out there who can get near him. Although I hear a lot of good stuff about this German guy, Franz Hermann, yeah.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of good things about this guy coming out of Germany. I love that story. That was such a great...
You didn't... Sky, they put on the...
I sent it to you.
What, when he won?
It was to Franz Hermann, yeah.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, quick fill-in. There was is it North Le Mans series or something like that?
There was an NLS test at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And
Max turned up under a false name.
Franz Hermann.
Never driven the car before. It was a Ferrari 296 GT3 car. He'd never driven that car before. He'd never driven that circuit outside of iRacing.
Really?
He goes out on the circuit. Yeah, he had never driven the Nordschleife before.
I thought he'd done... well, no, because they'd done the GP... I know he'd done the GP track, so he knows the GP track.
Yeah, but he's never done the Nordschleife.
I thought... weird, I actually thought he'd... No, he won't have done, because they won't do filming on there, will they?
No. So he goes out, never driven it. On the third lap in the car, breaks the course record. And I'm pretty sure has given quite a few bloody noses to some of those full-time GT3 drivers. Because you see some of the comments back from some of them.
No.
Comments about, oh, the car wasn't being run to GT3 spec, and they said, Max literally put, false, why would I take a car on track that wasn't to the spec of the rest of the vehicles? And then they'd put at the end something like, anyway, have a good race this weekend.
In other words, getting a bit jealous at the fact that...
I mean, yeah, whether you love Max or hate him, that is such a raw display of talent. to get into a car you've never driven before and be competitive in 3 laps. You know what I mean? How many people
Fuck
could
me.
do that? Wow. And he broke the lap record by about 2 seconds or something like that. It wasn't just a little...
7 minutes 48 is the unofficial lap record.
He was like 2 seconds quicker than any previous record. Like I say, he didn't just win it by a tiny little margin. He absolutely blitzed it.
That's ridiculous.
But like I say, it's just such a...
He did it in a Ferrari. He was in a Ferrari 296 GT3. He was in a
That's right.
GT3 car.
Yeah, but it was a Red Bull. I know it sounds weird when we say Max with a Ferrari, but it was a Red Bull. Red Bull have a team and they run Ferraris in our championship.
Yeah. It was just...
But, like I say, there's a lot of...
Saw people.
There's quite a few of the GT3 drivers who I think feel like they've had their noses put out of joint slightly.
I bet.
But to go from, it's F1 car, which is 800 kilos, 1,000 horsepower. That Ferrari's got to be 500-600 kilos heavier. Will drive totally differently, have different aero, different grip levels. So to be able to just jump in that and instantly go, boom, quick.
After 3 laps, yeah.
That's insane.
Oh, yeah. But
people do hundreds of thousands of laps to get to being those kind of levels.
Yeah.
I realise I sound like I'm overselling this a little bit, but...
There are people... Yeah. Obviously, we will get back to the F1, but there are people that had done thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of laps round that course.
In those cars?
In them cars.
That he just went faster than?
Yeah. And not just that, though. There's a... Is he in a... Are they in GT3? A certain YouTuber? Is he a GT3 driver?
Oh, was he saying that? You mean Broadbent?
Uh-huh.
Because he was on the circuit, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah, he was on that. He was there. Because there was a few. Because I think Max turned up, and apparently he turned up with like helmet on and everything. So literally, I say now, people must have known, because there's no way somebody with a false name should be able to get on a racetrack like that. The right people must have known who he was.
Oh, people will have known who the hell he was.
You know what I mean, though? The right people must have known.
Yeah, the only thing that gave him away was the fact it was his helmet. His helmet gave him away.
Yeah, he was using his F1 helmet.
He was using his F1 helmet, so of course people are going to know. If you got spotted in a photograph, even under that sidem, the false name, they did it to stop they did it to try and take the attention away from him. Unfortunately, they made a mistake. If they'd have given him a different helmet...
A plain white helmet and plain overalls or something.
Or whatever, he'd have got away with it.
Yeah.
He'd have gone unnoticed.
I actually generally think they've possibly done better by not doing it, by letting it happen this way.
Yeah.
Because the publicity it's given and the amount of memes that have come through. Which I think is absolutely genius.
But yeah, like we say, from him to go from an F1 car to that car, do what he's done, an unofficial lap record of the Nürburgring, that, like you say, he's not driven apart from a simulation, which will be iRacing.
Hey, he's doing in iRacing, but said, certainly from everything I'd read, he's never actually physically been on that circuit before.
No. Well, the problem is, technically he has, but never... the full. He's never been on that part. He has been on a bit of that circuit. Because when you combine the GP and the Nordschleife, you get the full Nürburgring.
Yeah.
But when F1 were there, they only used the GP track because they can't send cars. The F1 cars will not make it round.
No, the F1 cars had never managed a lap.
They
Well, they would, but the tyres
used
would
to.
last all of about. Yeah, there's a different time by then.
Well, that's where Lauda had his accident.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've way derailed here.
Won't be railed, never.
I've got a question for you though.
Go ahead.
Out of the two Ferraris,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that at that time do you think they should have swapped quicker? Rather than letting them fight, do you think they should have swapped them quicker?
No.
No?
Let them fight.
Okay.
It's too early in the season to start playing those favouritism games.
Well, it wasn't the favouritism, it was just a case of, obviously, the fact that at one point, Hamilton was quicker.
Yeah, but you still... When you get to the point that there's a championship on the line, then you start playing those games. Until that point, let them fight it.
Yeah. Now,
That's my opinion. Once again, this is going by my... As you said, me as team captain, which probably wouldn't work very well.
but Leclerc is, like I said, Leclerc is still ahead of Hamilton at this point in the standings.
Hmm.
George is just, yeah, keeping steady. Unfortunately,
Told you, George could. I'm saying it now. George could be a threat for this championship if things keep going the way they're going.
so as it stands, obviously Oscar's on 146, Lando is 133, Max is 124, and Russell is at 99.
Yeah.
So
I mean, technically, everybody's still in play. I understand that before, but yeah, you kept.
I mean,
You get one or two.
everybody's still in play, bar probably. I feel sorry for Alonso because, you know, he's still not scored yet.
You seem to get the closest they've ever got this weekend, though. The closest they've got so
Yeah.
far. Hopefully, if they can keep this going, then it's not a million miles away.
Sainz is down in 11 at this point. 11th at this point. Albon is in 8th. I mean, Albon can catch Kimi Antonelli if he carries on the form he is. At the moment, but I will say once we get to halfway through the season, that I think once we hit halfway, if Oscar's still leading by before the season, at the season break, it'll be a case of it's going to be Oscar's championship
Now, at
to
that
lose.
point, I would agree with you. At that point, I agree with you.
It'll be Oscar's championship to lose halfway through the season is when I'll probably think about that if he's still leading. I mean, if he can carry it on, he's fucking, you know.
Yeah, if it's at the halfway point where you would have to start favoritism to that one car.
Yeah.
Right now, you show favoritism now to say Norris, and then he has 3 DNFs in a row, suddenly you've thrown away.
Yeah. So, you know, as it stands, McLaren, 279 points. Mercedes, 147. Red Bull, 131. Ferrari, 114. And the big thing is, Williams Mercedes is 51.
In 5th.
In 5th.
Already way more points than they got all of last season.
Yeah, but then look at the gap. The little bit of a comfort gap at this point they've got to Haas.
Oh, yeah.
if Williams carry on,
it's going to be a good payout for them at the end of the season, which will help them into the next year. And like I've said, that'll be the start of hopefully them getting.
I mean, we're gonna wait and see what happens for the wait till halfway through the season, and then I'll think about other things.
Then he'll start picking the splinters out of his ass from that fence, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not sat on the fence right now. I'm not sat on the fence. So, I don't know if you've looked. I've not looked.
I have had a quick look, yes.
So,
I often do.
Let me just switch the screen over so you guys can see. Oh, David!
Yeah, once again, another one that didn't go well for me.
It didn't, did it?
I seem to be having these. It's just going to make my redemption at the end of the season look even better.
I suppose, yeah, but you've got Antonelli, and I suppose it didn't go well with Antonelli. Now, I didn't have a particularly good one either, but obviously Ryan didn't have a particularly good one. Weirdly enough. What screwed him? Haas screwed
a bunch
him.
Of assholes.
Hmm.
Same as screwed me, to be honest with you, but it didn't help me having Haas and having Ocon and Behrman.
Yeah.
Saying Antonelli's minus as well, so didn't help, but...
And then Angela had both the Williams drivers, but she had a 2 times on Norris. Ocon screwed her a little bit. So David's got 55. Ryan has 108 from this. Angela had 143. I've got 178, as you can see. Ocon did me and all. And then Logan is on 194. Nobody did him. Alan is on 195. Norris.
At one point in it.
Carla Pinto lost him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was 1 point between them two, but Carla Pinto didn't score him any. Simon, 203, hasn't
Now, I warned him twice.
Hasn't replaced... Eh?
I know I can't quite work out how it's doing this.
What?
I can't work out what it's... He forgot before practice. I warned him twice. I even WhatsApped him and said, make sure you change your team over.
Shit, use
and
final
they didn't use his final fix.
Why is it doubled him on Doohan?
I can't work out. Who's he?
Piastri, Bortoletto, doubled Doohan, Albon and Hadjar. Replaced. What?
It looks like he replaced Doohan with... I don't know. Maybe that's some of the... I'll actually speak to him tomorrow about that and try and figure out what's gone on there.
Yeah.
That makes no goddamn sense to anyone.
That doesn't make any sense because ideally he should be lower than me. Not.
I think the game. The game.
Well, it is a game.
He's displaying wrong. I think he's displaying. I think he'll be displaying a different name there instead of doing.
Because it said he's given him the. Because he wouldn't have 203 points, though, would he?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I think it's...
Balked.
I think he's put somebody else in there, but for some reason it's showing...
Doohan's
name twice.
strange. Yeah, because according to this, he's got 6 drivers. Where he should only have 5 drivers.
Like I said, there's got to be something. It's got to have. It's something's balked. I'm sure it has to be. It's the only way that can make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, kind of don't get it, because something's definitely gone wrong there. And then,
Oh yeah,
so Simon's on 203 points with a miraculously how, don't know. David will have to find out and let me know.
yeah. Well, I'll figure it out. I'll speak to him and figure out what's gone on.
And then we've got Adam up there with 343 points.
Yeah, but look at the chip he played.
I know he played the Limitless chip. He's played that at the wrong time.
It's given him a lot of points.
It has. But overall, it's not really done him any favours. Because he's nowhere near Alan. Yeah, he's not moved from where he is overall. So we've got Angela at the bottom in 8th with 836. We've got David in 7th with 840. He needs redemption.
It's early days, yeah. I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
We have Ryan in 6th with 905. Logan in 5th with 1,158. Adam in 4th with 1,244. Logan's dropped down, so Adam's boosted himself up. Alan is still in 3rd with 1,362. I'm in 2nd with 1,385. And Simon is still at the top with 1,462.
Yep.
Yeah. We're coming for you, Simon. We are. David's got redemption that it needs. Alan has already said he's trying to hunt you down, Simon. And if I can catch you, fair enough. If I can't, fair play.
Yeah. Let's give it our best shot.
Yep. But is there anything you want to add before we end?
I think we've covered all the bases this time. I enjoyed the race. I thought it was a really good race.
Yeah, on to the dull one next, isn't it? Well,
tell me about it.
Might not be, though.
I don't think it'll help a lot, this mandatory 2 stops.
Because there's mandatory...
What I was about to say is, I really hope that Emilia Romagna gets an extension on the calendar.
So do I.
I don't want this to be its last race. I think it's worth more than some other circuits that we know already have long contracts. Let's put it that way.
What, you mean Monaco?
No, I don't necessarily mean Monaco. No, not.
Oh, I do.
Monaco kind of is what it is. Okay, Monaco's not a good race, but it's a spectacle.
Yeah, I know, but
I mean more circuits like the American circuit. Like, as much as I don't mind the circuit, I'd take Imola over Miami.
yeah, I take Imola over Miami.
Over a lot of these, especially newer street circuits. So that's why I'm saying I'm not necessarily against Monaco. I'm saying it deserves a place over some of those.
So, the latest rumour mill looking at the weather forecast, not for now, but for Monaco, is there could be a possibility of rain for qualifying, which could spice things up.
Maybe for the race would be the more interesting one, wouldn't it?
Would be. Except you get the usual thing as well, where you go dry under the tunnel straight out onto a wet surface. Jesus.
Yep.
I mean, that can't do the tyres any good.
It's just one that's got to be dealt with, hasn't it?
Hmm. So obviously,
It's the same for all of them.
yeah. There's obviously timings for Monaco, obviously 23rd of May to the 25th. So on the 23rd, you got practice 1 at 12:30 till 1:30. Practice 2 is at 4 o'clock till 5. Then 24th of May, you got practice 3 from 11:30 till 12:30. Qualifying is on the same day, 3 in the afternoon till 4 p.m. UK time, and the race is on the 25th at 2.
Nice,
Yeah.
reasonable time. It's a bank holiday weekend as well, so for all you people out there in England and
It is, isn't it? Oh, yeah, okay.
trust me, mate, it's gonna be hell.
Is it
That
not,
weekend, well,
yeah, but is it not Memorial Day in America at some point? For
I
any
have
of
no
our
idea.
American listeners, I'm sure Memorial Day or whatever it is coming up soon as well.
Please drop us a comment and let us know. Unfortunately, neither of us are Americans, so we don't.
We could always ask our friend in Boston.
Yeah.
But anything you want to add? No.
One thing that we should have said right at the offset, we apologise for Alan's absence, by the way. Unfortunately, he's not feeling great. Didn't see a lot of the race. So we should have said that at the beginning, really, so I apologise for that. But no, other than that, just like as I said a minute ago, don't let this be the last time we see Imola.
I hope not. I hope not. I know we're losing Catalonia this year. This is the last Catalonia this year.
Yeah, you're going to that street circuit, isn't it?
Yeah. Madrid, isn't it?
Yeah, another street. Which I'm not the biggest hater of street circuits, but there's limits.
There's too many street circuits on the calendar and not enough. It seems all the, like I say, the originals, the old school circuits, you're only going to have Spa. You're only going to have, like, Spa, Austria, Silverstone, you're not going to have Catalonia, you're not going to have Barcelona anymore. You're not going to have Spain anymore. That's an old school track. You're not going to have, you've only got Suzuka and all that lot. It's because it's getting replaced by street circuits. Okay, Monaco. Monaco's a street race. Baku's a street race. You've only got Abu Dhabi and bloody Bahrain as well. Well, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
They're a bit of a mix. But before we get down another tangent, so obviously, thank you to everybody for listening. Do appreciate everybody that listens, whether you listen via Spotify or whether you actually listen to this as a podcast on the YouTube channel as well, because it goes out over there. And anywhere else it goes out, do appreciate all the listeners. But like we say, comment. You should be able to comment on the episodes. And obviously, yes, I know you could always comment and go, well, you always go off the rails, but that's us, unfortunately, with this podcast.
I think those that maybe don't like that, I think you may find that you're not.
We do try to keep it not going off the rails too much, but if there's not a lot to talk about during certain races, that's why we tend to go off the rails a bit more. But it generally with Imola, it was good. There was action, but there was not too much to go into detail with, really. But anyways, so we shall see you for the next one. So until then,
Later, folks.
goodbye for now.